welcome to Vanished Voices. We're your hosts. I'm Jenna.
And I'm Shannon.
All right, we're going to go back a decade to January 7th, 2016. It's a cold winter night in Greensboro, North Carolina. Inside an apartment complex called Stony Brook, a 19-year-old woman is getting ready to step outside for what should be a quick visit with a friend. She isn't leaving town. She isn't heading across the city. She's just walking across her own apartment complex. Before she leaves, she tells her boyfriend and her younger brother where she's going. She's just meeting a friend who lives nearby. And she says something that, in hindsight, has become chillingly familiar in missing person cases. She says, "I'll be back in an hour." But that hour comes and goes, and then another. Her phone suddenly stops responding. No texts, no social media, no calls answered. And somewhere between one apartment door and another, Tyarra Williams disappears. Police would later describe the circumstances of her disappearance as suspicious, even raising the possibility of foul play. But now, a decade later, investigators still don't have a public answer to one basic question. What happened to Tyarra Williams that night? She was born on June 18th, 1996. She was someone who was bubbly, spunky. She made the space she was in feel brighter. Her parents had divorced, and she was the always protective big sister of her younger brother. She was incredibly kind and always nurturing, which is why, during her junior year of high school, when she told her mom she was thinking about a specific career path, her mom knew she would be perfect for it. She wanted to go into education, specifically working with children with special needs. Her mom, Danielle, knew to fill that role, someone had to be loving and compassionate, which was exactly who Tyarra was. Tyarra was friendly and outgoing. She made friends easily. She was an excellent student, and her mom was an involved parent. She says that Tyarra described her as a strict mom, but they had a good relationship. Tyarra had graduated from Dudley High School in Greensboro in 2014. She planned to take a gap year to save money and get ready for college, also to make sure that this was the exact path she wanted to go down without wasting money and time doing a different career path or starting out.
Smart.
Her mom lived in the Stony Brook apartment complex, as did her grandma, and she moved in with her grandma towards the end of her senior year to gain a little bit of independence and also to help out, and so her grandma wasn't alone. By winter of 2015, she was ready to start making her dreams a reality. She registered at Guilford Technical Community College in their early childhood development and education program and was planning to begin classes in January of 2016. And like a lot of people in their late teens, she was standing right at the edge of adulthood. She was excited for the next chapter of life, and that detail matters. Because when investigators look at whether someone might have left voluntarily, one of the first things they examine is future planning. Were they preparing for school? Were they making long-term plans? Were they talking about what came next? And in Tyarra's case, the answer to all these questions is yes. Her family had described her as someone who was always thinking about the future. And she really was just about to start classes. The next week, actually.
Oh, yeah, that's close.
Yeah. On January 7th, 2016, Tyarra was making sure everything was in order for those classes to start. She had gone to the college that day to get her student ID, finish registering for everything, and make sure her financial aid was all in order so she could start classes. She was back later in the day, excitedly telling her mom about how everything had gone. She was happy. She had gotten all of these things done that feel like really big things. Her mom said she was beaming. She was obviously happy. The two made plans to go back to school shopping, and they planned to get all of Tyarra's textbooks for her classes the next day. Tyarra, her brother, and her mom spent some time taking down the Christmas tree. And Tyarra's case was actually featured on Investigation Discovery on their Disappeared series in season 9. And in that episode, her mom said that She didn't want to put up a tree that year. It was a lot of work, but Tyarra convinced her, saying, I promise I'll help take it down.
Interesting.
And true to her word, she did. After they got it down, her boyfriend Aaron came by and they all had dinner together. This feels like such a normal, ordinary day. After dinner, they hung out, they watched TV. Around 8:30 p.m., Tyarra, her boyfriend Aaron, and her brother all left Danielle's apartment. Aaron and her brother hung out occasionally. She hadn't been dating Aaron that long, but the two got along well. And they were planning to go to Aaron's. He also lived in the same complex to play video games. Tyarra told the two that she was going to walk over to see a friend named Travis, who lived in the same complex, but she would meet Aaron back at her place, like at her grandmother's, in an hour. She wasn't headed down the street, not across town, literally just inside the same apartment community. She's planning this short visit, only an hour. As she walks away, that moment, nothing feels unusual.
So I'm just going to jump right into Travis. Did he ever acknowledge that she got there?
He did.
Okay.
Not at first,
Oh,
which feels a little off.
yeah.
There were messages between Tyarra and him
Uh-huh.
that her mom was able to find on her Facebook that showed they were planning to meet up.
Yeah.
And he actually ends up being an ex-boyfriend of hers.
Okay. Okay.
So that's not his real name, and his real name has actually never been released.
Did she know that it was the ex?
No.
Oh, so he was catfishing under the name.
Sorry. Tyarra knew, nobody else knew.
Okay.
Yes. So neither Aaron or her brother recognized that name.
Okay. Does Aaron live in the same apartment complex?
He does.
Okay.
He also lives in Stony Brook.
And their apartments, or are they like townhomes?
Their apartment.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. Aaron says that he doesn't want to be nosy or one of those boyfriends. They hadn't been dating all that long.
Understandable.
So he didn't ask who Travis was or why.
Well, and especially
she was going.
when she's like, I'm going to be back in like an hour. I mean,
it's short.
Right.
Running over. Maybe he has a textbook that she can borrow, or there's a lot of different very innocent explanations.
Well, and she could be doing the whole, let me like do closure, have one last conversation with this dude because now I'm with a new person. And sometimes, especially at that age, you feel like it's the adult thing to have the conversation in person, even though that's sometimes ridiculous.
Yeah, and not needed.
Right. But you're doing all these adult things like, oh, let me do one more adult thing and have this
good point.
potential conversation face to face.
Right.
I'm surmising, but it seems plausible.
They've never
especially when we now know that he is the ex.
Right.
But interesting that she's choosing to use the fake name as well with her brother. And I get with the new boyfriend, but so that makes me think her family may not have liked him.
I couldn't really tell.
Okay.
I didn't get the feeling one way or the other.
All right.
We know that she made it where she was headed, but this is where the timeline becomes less precise.
So does this complex have cameras in their outside area?
Not that they've ever released.
Okay.
So I don't know if they do and they didn't find anything, or because they do get on top of it pretty quickly. And they actually do have CCTV from other places where tips were called in that they reviewed, and they put that information out. So my guess is maybe no.
Okay.
They find out later when they talk to Travis that they only talked in his car. Travis doesn't live at the apartment complex.
Right.
And so
that makes more sense that she's saying, I'm going to go visit a friend, but reality, she's just meeting him in a car because it's not who she's telling people it is.
Right.
So, okay, wait. So how do they know she left from talking to him?
I don't love the answer, but when he is talking to police later, he says they met at 8:30. They talked for 20 to 30 minutes in his car, and then he watched her walk away. They did search his car.
Yeah.
They didn't find anything.
Okay.
And Nothing about his story was odd. They didn't see anything from the messages that made it seem like it was anything other than just a normal, friendly chat. So he's never been named a person of interest even. That's basically the last confirmed sighting.
Yeah.
So I don't love it.
No, but there's no, of course, how long between her disappearing before they talk to him? Because I'm like, is it enough time for the car to get detailed?
It was a few days, maybe a week.
Again, yes. I guess if they knew, you can tell if a car's been cleaned.
For whatever reason, when they examined the car, they said there was no evidence that anything happened in the car.
Right.
But again, to me, that doesn't mean they didn't leave in the car together.
Yeah.
And something might have happened elsewhere. I don't know. Aaron returned to Tyarra's place around 9:30 like they had planned, and Tyarra isn't back yet.
Did her brother go back to their mom's house?
He did.
Okay.
She also hasn't texted to say that she's taking longer. He tries to call and text her, and at this point, the call goes straight to voicemail.
So someone's already turned her phone off.
Real fast.
Mm-hmm.
He didn't get a response the rest of the night. Every call went straight to voicemail. Now, the reporting is a little bit weird on this next part. At 7 a.m. the next morning, they said Aaron had a rescheduled appointment. And I can't tell if he got home from that appointment at 7 or if he went at 7 because they say it was a couple hours. But they also say that he woke up her grandma at that point to ask her if Tyarra was home.
What appointment could you possibly? I mean,
I mean,
maybe getting labs done, but
could maybe.
But that wouldn't take a couple hours either.
Maybe a dentist appointment. They tend to open.
Oh, that's true. A dentist would go early.
Maybe before work.
Yeah.
Type thing. Tyarra's grandma was confused when she had gone to bed and Tyarra hadn't been there. She just assumed that she was with Aaron at his place. And I can't find if Aaron lived with parents.
Mm-hmm. Or lived on his own.
Right.
In the complex.
Right. Her brother was with him.
Do we know how old he is?
I want to say 19 or 20.
Oh, so
right
same
around.
age.
Yeah.
Okay.
Her grandma's name is Vanessa. Vanessa checks Tyarra's room. Tyarra isn't there. She does notice Tyarra's purse and cell phone charger are there. She tries to call Tyarra as well, straight to voicemail.
Cell phone charger, fine. Purse, I'm like, but if you're just going over to your mom's, then going over to visit, I guess you
and
don't.
Coming
and
back.
especially, yeah, if you're going, and plus you're telling people you're visiting somebody in the complex, you don't really need your purse for that. So that's I guess understandable too, that she didn't have her purse on her. She wasn't planning on leaving.
I do wonder if she had a key on her or...
Probably had a key.
Yeah.
I know some apartments now have the code.
Keypad. Oh, yeah.
Right. But I don't know if I don't really think in 2016 they did. I feel like that's newer.
Maybe. We had that by then, but that is different because that's
like
something...
the garage?
Well, for our front door.
Oh, okay.
But that was something we put in ourselves.
Right. Then maybe some apartments were doing that by then.
Yeah. I mean, Aaron was...
I didn't even realize they were until somebody like recently mentioned it. And I was like, oh, like a hotel? That's weird.
Yeah. Aaron was able to get in though.
Oh, in fact, I think it was one of the people we know that does property management. She was explaining that it's what they do at their properties.
That's nice.
And I was like, oh.
And then my Airbnb had that.
Yeah.
Our last one.
But yeah, these are not even Airbnbs. This is like apartments. And granted, I don't know how long it's been going on, but I guess it is plausible that it could have been rather than keys at this point. So they're not always having to rekey everything. They just change the code.
It seems easier.
It completely does.
Yeah.
And she even said that, because then it's like, okay, what if, because I'm thinking in hotels, how many times I've been locked out.
Mm-hmm.
And she says, oh, that is like on a 24-hour like emergency loop where it can be reset from externally.
Oh.
And then, so that people don't get locked out of their house.
I hate being locked out of a hotel room.
Yeah. So I'm like, can you imagine if it's your literal house? Like,
right.
You're going to be angry.
Mm-hmm. Agreed. At this point, Vanessa contacted Danielle to ask if she'd heard from Tyarra. She's immediately alarmed. Tyarra isn't someone who ever lets her phone die. She never turns it off. It's completely out of character for her to not answer. The phone's not ringing, and she hasn't responded to any of the text messages from anyone checking on her. Danielle reached out to Erin, who fills her in on the timeline and what happened the night before. Danielle doesn't recognize the name Travis, so she starts digging through Tyarra's Facebook. No one stands out as having that name, but she notices that a lot of Tyarra's friends have nicknames on Facebook. She is able to log into Tyarra's Facebook, which I find impressive. I can barely log into my own most of the time.
I'm guessing it was probably on like a computer that they all used or something.
Maybe.
So you just pop it in. But I'm more impressed that at a 19-year-old has Facebook. But I'm like 2016, yeah, that's more likely then because Snap is still new.
Yeah.
And
same with Instagram.
Instagram.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She hadn't been allowed to have one for a while. And then when her mom did allow her to have one, her mom did have access to it.
Yeah.
Or she said, we have to be Facebook friends.
Yeah.
And, if I find out you have a private one, we're done. Part of the quote,
that's when everything
mom.
was new. Yeah. That makes sense.
As she's in Tyarra's
So then she probably just had the full-on password.
She might have. And you probably didn't have to do it on a phone with a circulating code at that point. She discovers that Tyarra had been messaging with her ex for the last week or two leading up to January 7th. And she also sees they had met up once or twice and were planning to meet the night of the 7th. By 8 p.m., Danielle is beside herself with worry. Nothing about the situation is normal. She reaches out and reports Tyarra missing. And she explained the things that we've talked about that help investigators decide to act quickly. One of them being the timing. She's on this verge of starting the next phase of life, getting ready for college, making plans, looking forward to what comes next. And also the fact that she doesn't let her phone go dead. She always responds. Also, there's no record that she's ever left or run away in the past. And so all of those things combined tell them that this isn't normal. Even though Tyarra is technically an adult, she's still technically a teenager.
Right. She's still not really an adult.
But sometimes they make those 19-year-olds be adults who can choose to do what they want.
Right.
And so I'm glad they didn't in this instance.
Yeah. So let me jump to Erin. Was there any evidence that because he said that he started calling and texting her at 9:30 when they were supposed to converge again. Did his phone logs or did her phone logs show that he did continually try to text and call her?
They can see
to
it.
Corroborate his version?
They can see it on his.
Okay.
They're never able to get texts or call logs from hers.
Okay.
They're able to get the ping, and they see that she was in the apartment complex at 8:30.
Okay.
And from what the police report says, it looks like it stayed there until it was either turned off or died, but they've never released the exact time that happened, but somewhere between 8:30 and 9:30.
Has he been named a person of interest?
He hasn't. And for a while, Danielle thought that maybe he did have something to do with it.
Right.
And on that episode of Disappeared, he said he was mad about that at first because he says he knew he didn't. He was worried about her. He's the one that told her grandma, told her mom, sounded the alarm. But then he says, I thought about it, and if I were in their shoes, I would think the exact same thing.
Yeah.
And they were hurting. They still are.
Yeah.
And I don't blame them at all.
Yeah.
For making sure that I was as thoroughly checked out as anyone else.
Right. That's a mature answer.
Yeah, agreed.
And that's reassuring. I mean, unless you're a complete sociopath and you're just that good at charm. But yes, I do wonder if he somehow became aware of where she actually was or who she was actually with, or maybe she just confessed it to him and it went awry.
Possibly, because it doesn't seem like anybody saw her after she left the car.
Plus, for him to have the foresight, though, to continue, because so many times you see cases where the significant other stops calling and texting, and it's like kind of like, yet you were calling 40 times up to that moment, and then all of a sudden you just cold turkey stop. That means you obviously know there's no one there to answer the call. So yeah, you like telling yourself that way.
Right.
So the fact that he at 1920 already was like, oh, let me keep calling this phone. One, to turn it off. Two, then to keep calling it on his end to make it look like he's concerned. And I'm using quotes.
Yeah.
To then call the grandma to say, hey, is she there? Because I never met back up with her. And then, yeah, again, very smart that I wouldn't necessarily think a 19-year-old can quite grasp at that point.
Totally. And
to be that planned out, I should say.
And where her grandma's like, oh, I just assumed she was with you. That would have,
which means she probably had
more
been
time
hanging out overnight already to where they weren't concerned that she didn't come home at some point.
Right. Even falling asleep on the couch watching a movie because you're in the same general area.
Right. Just a building over.
Exactly. Stony Brook is surrounded by Webster Road, which is near Randleman Road. There are also a lot of parking lots, other apartment buildings, people coming and going constantly, neighbors passing each other on sidewalks. And granted, in January, it is dark by 8:30 to 9:30, but you've got people pulling in and out of parking spaces, working at all different times of day and night. It's not some remote wooded area.
Yeah, apartment complex never really sleeps.
Exactly. And that's what makes it harder to understand. That's what is so confusing about this. There were possibly dozens of people around at any given moment. Hundreds of people would have been nearby, but nobody heard anything. Nobody saw anything. And really, if we want to say for sure that she got out of the car by 8:50 or 9, it would have been a really short walk, a couple minutes tops, to get back to where she was going.
Yeah, I feel like even in the biggest complex I ever lived in, it never took more than 5 minutes to walk from one end to the other.
Exactly. That's why her GPS signal stops in the apartment complex. It's either a very small window or something.
So could they prove that Aaron stayed in... Well, did he end up staying at her apartment then since he was meeting? Okay.
He went back to his. So I don't know if it was because he had an early morning
or say he didn't have a key to get in. So then he knocked on the door. No one answered.
It seemed like he went in, and I don't know if her brother went over with him for a bit and then her brother went. So he went. I almost get the feeling that might have been.
But I'm like, who's locking her door? I don't know. Unless it's one of those keypad ones, then which gives more credence to that it was, because otherwise you need a key to lock it.
And maybe her brother had one.
Could be, because it is grandma's house.
It is grandma, yeah. And he's not that much younger. I don't know if he was 15, 16, 17.
Well, even then, all family.
Old enough, yeah.
I have keys to my family members' homes.
Right.
Keys to mine.
And so that would make sense. So he might have left when her brother left. And he says he thought she could have sat down to watch a movie and fallen asleep. She had a big day. She was at the school by 8 a.m. that morning.
Or even just delayed.
Yeah. And it's like, well, I'm sure she has a good reason and maybe her phone died. I'll catch up with her tomorrow. She'll explain everything, that type of thing. It is interesting that by 9:30, though, texts weren't being delivered and the calls were going straight to voicemail, not even ringing unanswered. So either turned off, it had to be turned off, or died because the ping never left the apartment complex. Let's see. According to both family statements and later reporting, none of the attempts to call her went through. Her phone went straight to voicemail and no digital activity either. So that's the other part of it where her family knows even if her phone died, she would have connected on social media to contact them or send them a message or let them know if she was at all able to, if something didn't happen and she didn't have a phone. That's what had happened in the past. After her mom contacted police, investigators began what would become a years-long search for answers. And for police, the first hours of a missing person investigation usually follow a similar pattern. Interview the last people who saw her, establish a timeline, search the immediate area, all of those things. In Tyarra's case, detectives quickly started leaning towards suspicious circumstances and possible foul play. Within the first week of the investigation, detectives began speaking publicly about the case. Local news outlets reported that investigators had conducted interviews and were canvassing the area near the apartment complex. And canvassing in this instance meant detectives going door to door, talking to neighbors, asking if anyone saw something unusual, a person running, a car leaving quickly. Did you hear an argument? Did you hear a scream? Anything that might help reconstruct what happened during that small window of time. When something like this happens in an apartment, witnesses are often nearby. They just may not realize what they saw was important. So I am really glad that detectives were going door to door asking.
Right.
Because you could easily have seen that or thought that was odd without.
And how long had that family lived in that complex? Where it had been a while. So they probably knew their neighbors and knew people.
Yes, it's, and in apartments, people come and go.
Right. But you still kind of know, especially the ones right around you.
Mm-hmm.
And you learn their schedule and.
Exactly. Police, for some reason, pretty quickly did say they thought foul play was possible. It seems like they treated the situation like a criminal investigation. And first up was talking to Travis, like we talked about. They brought him in for an interview. And like I kind of mentioned at first, he said, "Nope, we broke up. I haven't talked to her and I haven't seen her." And the police had already seen all of the messages. Danielle was smart, screenshot them, had it all. Mm-hmm. Here you go. And they pretty quickly let Travis know that they knew he was lying, and his story then shifted. He did tell police that the two had been messaging and that he did meet up with her that night. He said that it was at 8:30 and the two of them just sat in his car for 20 to 30 minutes. After they talked, he said she got out of the car and walked back towards her apartment.
How long ago had they allegedly broken up?
That I'm not 100% sure on, if it was 2 months or 6 weeks. That's kind of the range that I get.
Okay. So very new.
New, yeah. She had another ex that they interviewed that we'll talk about that was still in her orbit as well. And so I'm not even sure that this Travis guy was a very long relationship.
Okay. Because I'm curious to know if he also texted or called her or texted or at least after this conversation. Or did his phone messaging also go silent?
I wonder that too. Part of me wonders, I don't believe they were talking every day or even every other day.
Him not messaging is not out of the realm.
And I also wonder if Danielle had reached out to him as she's looking at the messages, seeing, did you see her? Anything? Because we have that window from 12:30 when they let Danielle know till 8 when she contacted police.
Yeah.
And you don't want to have to make that report.
No, you don't.
You really don't. He did voluntarily let police search his car, and they publicly said they didn't find any evidence that anything had happened to Tyarra in there. I'm also curious, like you said, if it had been recently detailed, but
I would feel like they wouldn't have publicly said.
Exactly.
Almost like, don't mess, like he's not it.
Right. And we're not even releasing his name.
Right.
Nothing. As the days passed and Tyarra still hadn't been found, the community began organizing search efforts. Volunteers gathered to look through areas around Greensboro. Local churches helped coordinate search groups.
Did he help with any of that?
Aaron did.
But
I don't know about Travis.
Travis did. Okay.
Since we don't even know who he is, he's not included like a yes or a no.
Yeah.
In a lot of these things.
Yeah.
The other boyfriend did help with that, but he also hadn't seen her that day.
But so did Scott Peterson, so.
Exactly. And didn't Chris Watts too?
Yes. Oh, yeah, he was even more so than Scott.
Ugh. Yes. Scott seemed like he was there begrudgingly.
Yeah, kinda.
Yeah. They handed out missing person flyers, hoping that seeing a picture of Tyarra would help spark a memory for anyone that lived in the apartment complex or in the surrounding area. By the end of the first few weeks, though, one pattern was becoming clear. There were very few confirmed movements of Tyarra, even after getting in the car and talking to Travis. I mean, there's no, aside from police searching the car, there's no public confirmed sighting of her after.
Had she ever mentioned to her family that there was people in the complex bothering her?
Not that I found.
Okay. I mean, and her brother.
And she was so close with her mom and her brother.
Yeah, I would think something like that you would tell your brother about.
Yeah.
Maybe even more so than your mom.
Or Aaron. She would have mentioned it to Aaron.
Maybe not. He's new. I could see the brother. Especially since she's being described as very protective of her brother.
Mm-hmm.
That's kind of like a two-way street when it's just the two of you. Like I was with my brother, I'm the older sister, and I was very protective of him, but he was also very protective of me.
Mm. And if someone was making you uneasy, you would want them to be keeping an eye out.
Yeah, like that's why I'm like, I wonder if she told the brother about, because that's something I absolutely would have told my brother about, just because we were just that close.
Yeah.
And then not with the intention of him doing something, but just because like you almost say, well, he's a best friend, so I'm going to tell him something made me feel odd.
Right. Especially where you're spending so much time together all the time, it sounds like.
Yeah, because when you're still young like that and you're always around your sibling, like that's just natural.
And I feel like especially to that year after high school, because your built-in friend group has kind of somewhat dispersed, or at least where you don't see each other every day. Or you have to get jobs. You have to do that
start
type
adulting.
of stuff. Exactly.
Is this complex by any like forest or wooded area or any trails that lead somewhere else?
There are some, and those were some of the first places that search groups, volunteers, and police looked through. I guess there was some snow, some ice on the ground, even though it is North Carolina.
Oh, okay. That's not normal.
In January, there was mention that when they go out in the spring, some of the places that they were checking had been like iced over the first time through. So they did go back in March and they went back in
stuff
April.
Is melted,
Yeah, or just thawed and things like that. There were like roadside ditches and they went through all of that. They even end up going through some of those places where tips then later come in with cadaver dogs and other equipment to try. And they didn't find anything.
Okay.
Not even like a piece of clothing or anything. We mentioned her other ex. There was another ex-boyfriend. They had had a really good relationship. Even in some of the reporting, they were described as still loving each other, like in a friend or respect type of way, where their relationship had been really good throughout. And really, they ended it because they both realized they wanted different things in life. He was cooperative right from the beginning. And Danielle has said that she didn't think he was involved at all. He seemed as distraught as the family was over Tyarra going missing. So I get the feeling that the two of them had a much longer relationship. And he was still in communication with her family here and there. I think Danielle had reached out to him that first day to see if he had heard from Tyarra. It seems like he jumped right in to the search. He is also officially ruled out as having anything to do with this.
Okay.
Police worked on timeline reconstruction, which included pulling all of her phone data. And unfortunately, really the only thing they got was the phone ping in the apartment complex around 8:30. It didn't show any other pings until it was either turned off or the battery died.
Since Aaron was new, did he have an ex that maybe wasn't letting go?
That is a good question. I'm not sure.
Or does quotation Travis have a new person
that could have followed him there?
Right.
Oh, that's a good idea. You could see that because you could see her getting out of the car.
Yeah.
Maybe this person calling out to Tyarra.
That or spying and then just going at,
and
going
her
waiting
coming
until
over.
Travis drives away and then going after her.
Exactly. It could be fast. And,
absolutely.
In that parking lot with people coming and going, and you're sitting there having a conversation, I don't know that you would notice the cars around you.
No.
There's no reason to.
Not
and
in an
it's
apartment
dark.
complex. There's people having friends over all the time. Just, I never paid attention.
No,
I
not to that.
paid attention, but not when you just see two people having a conversation.
Right. When you're having the conversation, seeing other cars
you're not
coming and going. No.
Unless you're really trying to hide, you might be a little bit more observant, but I'm just wondering if maybe one of them got followed, if Travis got followed and or Aaron had a more recent ex too.
I like that line of thinking with Travis though, because it could have been someone.
That seems, again, more likely if they're already having these secret conversations unbeknownst to the new people. And while Aaron was trying to not, quote unquote, be that boyfriend, maybe Travis's new person was not.
Right. Or was trying to, but that's why she's following or.
Right. To see if, because his stories aren't making sense to them.
I wish that there was a way, because without any information on him, it's so
hard to,
Yeah. But I do like that idea. That makes more sense than any of the other theories that are out there. They did get some media attention. There isn't a lot on this case, and part of it is because there's never been any named persons of interest, certainly no suspects. There have been tips. We'll talk about a few of them. None of them have panned out. They've all been either mistaken identity or I don't even know what. But they continued handing out flyers, and investigators, anytime they had media coverage, encouraged anyone with information to come forward. And I think that's because they just didn't know where else to look.
Yeah.
They did interview everyone in Tyarra's life, like going back a few boyfriends to talk to the other one. But they put up billboards with Tyarra's picture all around the community. They started a Facebook page that was Help Find Tyarra Williams. The family also set up a hotline that some sources say Tyarra's uncle, some say her grandpa ran for the family. Police received some tips in those first months. 2 came in that reported that they had seen Tyarra on the street in Greensboro looking disoriented. Both tips came right around the same, exact time, and both said 20 minutes from the apartment, only in opposite directions. So police spread out, investigated both. Neither of those sightings were Tyarra.
Yeah.
Towards the end of March, a couple disturbing tips that Tyarra was deceased and had been dumped in a tractor trailer lot right across from the Stony Brook apartment complex. They thoroughly searched the area.
So, okay, there's a tractor trailer complex next door, as in where trailers sit empty, trailers get loaded, trailers are constantly in and out and leaving with their tractors.
Let me see if it shows it on this map.
Because that is a very easy way to get a body out immediately and away from an area.
Don't love that. There is this map. Okay. This doesn't look like that one's where her mom lives. That one's where her grandma lives. But it doesn't necessarily look like there's a tractor place right next door. This seems like a pretty big apartment complex area. Like all of these are like apartments.
Yeah, it's probably not going to show that if that's the apartment area locations, but that's just another interesting avenue because that is very much an easy way. I don't like the whole just kidnapping, stranger, snatch, whatever, because it's so rare. And even, I know human trafficking will come up into play. And again, it's generally that's human trafficking occurs when you've been groomed and it's somebody and somebody that's been establishing a relationship with you to get you to trust them to leave. So again, very rare that somebody is truly just snatched up out of the blue.
So there are parks and things like that, but we've got a bank, a gas station, a grocery store, Dollar General.
Okay, those are all highly trafficked areas.
Mm-hmm. Like all a street over. So that Webster Road seems like
that's going to be... So again, going with the theory of snatching her to get away in a tractor trailer, highly unlikely.
Yeah.
And I bet that tractor trailer area has cameras because who knows what type of load is in those trucks.
And the cadaver dogs didn't alert on anything in the area.
Right.
So police interviewed Aaron a few times over the course of 6 months to a year. And every time he didn't say or do anything that perked up their suspicious radar or whatever. Yeah. Over the years, investigators and Tyarra's family have received numerous tips. Some suggested that she might have been in other states. Some suggested she may have been abducted. But none of the tips have ever panned out to be her. There was one from a credit union parking lot, and they were so certain that it was her, but...
Because she showed up on camera or her...
The person that called in the tip. So then when they looked at the CCTV, it wasn't her.
Yeah.
Yeah. Some of them they've been able to rule out because of that way.
Yeah.
There aren't a lot of theories really about what happened. Really either someone she knew, whether that is somebody who managed to stay off the radar.
It feels, since the two obvious men who are likely candidates appear to be ruled out by police, that's why I have to go to somebody that's in their orbit that is not happy that they are no longer the chosen person.
Or jealous, or especially when you get to that 17 to 19.
Yeah, because you're not
20.
Right. You're still, it's first love. Everything is big and
big emotions, jealous, not making the best decisions without that fully formed frontal lobe.
Because why? We're 19.
Exactly.
So we're still trying to have fun.
Yes.
So yeah, it seems like the one ex and her amicably parted and he became concerned. The next ex, yes, they're still doing the whole back and forth. I mean, the person I dated in high school, I think I ended up talking for like 4 years after we broke up. Yeah. Just because, again, first love, everything's big, and we were still friendly. Mm-hmm. So that doesn't shock me either.
I mean, I married mine, so.
Well, yeah, there you go. So it's like, yeah, I feel like they have to look at who was in their orbit.
Agreed. And you can really, really hope they did, but they've never put it out.
Well, of course not. And that, I think this is one of those that they're waiting on just the right...
One more tip.
Right. The right tip, the right level of information, somebody finally coming forward.
Mm-hmm. Alliances being broken.
Right.
That weren't before.
I think that would be a obvious line of questioning when they're questioning the two men. Hey, is there anyone that you have dealt with that may not be accepting of you being with this new person, or is mad that you're still talking to them when you're now talking to them?
I wonder if they were able to look at their phones, or...
Oh, I'm sure. I'm sure, because you either voluntarily give it or they get a warrant.
Right.
And if you're trying to clear your name, you're probably going to voluntarily provide that information.
Yeah. If you had nothing to do with it, here you go. whatever you need.
Because it is, again, very telling that Travis has never been truly identified. It's interesting that she used that name. Like, where did that come from?
And maybe you're happy with Aaron. You like where things are going. You don't want to rock the boat. But like you said, you want this closure or one more conversation.
Still, or even just, again, at that age, you don't really have the maturity to cut things off.
Right.
And so you're still trying to be nice. Especially girls.
Yeah.
We've been trained to be nice.
Yeah, stop it.
Right. Stop being nice.
Mm-hmm.
And so I could see him still trying to potentially get back with her by keeping lines of communication open. And she's being nice by agreeing to continue talking to him and meeting him instead of just blocking him on everything. And plus, I don't even think, did block even exist in 2016? I don't remember.
I don't even know. But he could have come to her saying, I started dating this girl and I just
like maybe I'm trying to make you jealous with it, but she doesn't care because she's got Aaron.
Or even, I just need some advice. And it's nothing other than platonic, like, help me out with this new girl I'm dating. I'm happy you're with someone else. And something that way where the conversation really is nothing, but your other relationship is so new.
Mm-hmm.
You don't want to make it weird.
Oh, right. You don't want to mess it up before it's even started.
Right. So I could see using a different name, I suppose.
Oh, yeah. Hey, I'm just going to go run over. I'm surprised she didn't use a female name. But then, of course, that could have led to, well, let me just come with you.
True.
Because it's not. But when you clearly put a male's name in there, it's like, oh, okay, let me let you handle that.
Well, and also if they're walking between the different apartments,
yeah,
if they happen to walk by and see her talking to a guy compared to a girl,
right,
that throws up red flags.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. So someone she knew, the next possibility they talk about is opportunistic. There are constant movement in apartment complexes. It would have had to be really opportunistic.
Yeah, I don't buy that.
It's such a short window.
Yeah.
And they would have had to turn her phone off immediately. They would have had to count on her not screaming, not making a sound.
Even opportunistic, it's not possible in that location. Even if she'd had a stalker and, how did they know she just happened to go talk to this person? Again, that would have been the opportunity, but it would have still been somebody who had been watching her. That's why I don't buy the opportunistic theory.
Yeah, it's really hard to imagine.
I think it's more, I'm angry, somebody coming up on the situation and being angry and losing control.
True. And,
not really taking your anger out on the correct person.
Yeah, that is a very good point with that one. And the opportunistic one kind of, to me, encompasses the human trafficking angle, which has been discussed a lot in this case.
I mean, I think that's always on the table.
And that was a lot of the investigation discovery one because her grandpa or her uncle, I'm pretty sure it's her grandpa, but some of the reporting outside of the investigation discovery says uncle. They talk about him following these leads early on. A tip came in from Georgia. There was a server at a Waffle House there, and they said that a group of girls came in often, and they were certain that one of the girls was Tyarra. Her grandpa went to check, but the group had stopped coming in. So this person gave them other places to check and even specific people to check that might be running some of the sex work in the area. Police checked. She wasn't found in any of those places, none of the motels or anything that they said. And there have been others from around the country, and he has checked every single one of them, and nothing has come of that.
Well, and again, she doesn't really fit that profile. She comes from a good family.
Mm-hmm.
She has future plans. She's not doing things that could lead her into an environment that she could then be turned out.
Right.
That she just doesn't fit who a human trafficker would normally target.
Right. And there's no indication that any of that was.
Yeah, I don't buy that theory.
Yeah. And then the last one is voluntary.
Yeah, come on now. No. Not when you're literally going to go buy school books the next day. Like, come on.
And your mom sees how excited you are.
Yeah, ridiculous. That shouldn't even be on the table either.
Agreed. And I am very glad that police didn't seem to have that on the table, like at the beginning.
Yeah.
And then wait to see what happens.
Yeah, I think they recognized, again, good family, very involved, helping with grandma. I mean, come on.
Yep.
Ready to start school, has been working, saving up money. Like, these are not high risk lifestyle.
No.
At all.
And not, I'm wanting to disappear.
Yeah, no.
No.
I'm going to go buy textbooks. I mean, how boring is that?
I know. But she's excited.
Well, yeah, you are the first time, and then you walk in and see how much they are, and then you're not excited anymore.
No.
And then you're like, oh, I never thought I'd want a used book, but here I am buying used because, my goodness, new is way too expensive.
So then way too long later, your office closet has college textbooks in it because it cost a fortune.
Yes. Oh, no, I always sold mine back. I was like, I don't want these things, not keeping them. Like, let me get my little $5 per book so I can go apply it towards the next batch.
Although I did do that for the ones that weren't in my degree. The ones that they were like, you're going to need this to study for your licensing exam. I was like, no. But here we are.
Yeah.
The problem, though, is that really those are the only theories out there. And now, over a decade later, we still don't know what happened. We don't know. I mean, we can say she got out of the car. What happened after that? It should have only been a couple minutes. It should have been home before Aaron got back from playing video games.
Right.
And
yeah, especially, if Travis's story is correct and she was only there for 20, 30 minutes, she easily should have been there a full 30 before he popped by again.
So was there someone else that she planned to meet?
No.
I don't think so.
I think
was
she
looking
got
forward to
confronted
time.
Unexpectedly, and it went south.
It still, though, would shock me if someone could have a chaotic encounter like that they weren't planning on.
Right. That nobody saw.
Evidence.
Right. No evidence, no screaming heard.
Right. And they managed to, where
get
is
away.
she?
Yeah.
Because they've never found her
Put
phone.
her where?
They've never found anything she was wearing. No trace of her.
Again, and somebody turned the phone off right away, which is incredibly smart.
And if you're not planning on it.
Well, yeah, if spur of the moment, you really wouldn't think of that.
Unless they got lucky and she really was about out of battery.
Right.
And she wasn't planning on.
Right. She's just going to go right
back home and plug it in.
Charge it. Yeah.
Right. So maybe they got lucky, but also it's never been found. I don't know. It's very odd because it doesn't make sense that it was opportunistic from someone who knew what they were doing.
Right.
It doesn't make sense that it's chaotic and rage from someone that had absolutely no idea. And then you're out of...
or, again, confronted with a gun, and so they tell you to get in the car and you go. And that's plausible, and that's how you make it less obvious to your surroundings, and then you leave.
She could have gotten out of the car and been checking messages, distracted, and then confronted just like that. And maybe they had pulled up in front of her and she hadn't noticed.
Well, yeah, if a girl pulls up and says, "Who are you?" to Travis, but then pulls a weapon on you, that seems, again, a way to get, again, less suspicious, more fear. So you just get, I don't know. I'm like pulling strings here, but.
Right, because nothing really
makes sense
on this one. They really hoped that by having disappeared, highlight her case, that other leads would come in from people that maybe hadn't heard about it. Most of the news coverage that I can find is very limited to very local stations. As of the most recent public reporting, which was for the 10-year anniversary last month, well, I guess in January, not last month now, Tyarra Williams is still missing. The case remains open. Investigators continue to encourage anyone with information to come forward. For Tyarra's family, the passage of time hasn't made any of these questions easier. Every year brings another anniversary, another reminder that Tyarra is still missing. And like so many families in similar situations, they are stuck waiting for answers. Tyarra is a Black woman with brown hair and brown eyes. At the time of her disappearance, she was 5'5" and weighed 120 pounds. She had pierced ears, a nose stud in her left nostril, and a small burn scar on her right wrist about the size of a nickel. Today, she would be 29 years old. She was last seen wearing a pink shirt, a black North Face jacket, dark blue Levi's jeans, white Jordans sneakers with blue and green trim, and a royal blue knit cap. If you know anything about the disappearance of Tyarra Williams, even if it seems small, investigators would love to hear from you. You can contact the Greensboro Police Department at 336-373-2222. You can also submit an anonymous tip through Greensboro Crime Stoppers, and we will list that number in the show notes. And you can also contact the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children, which is 1-800-THE-LOST. Even the smallest detail could help investigators understand what happened that night. Someone out there has to know something. A person seen walking, a vehicle in the parking lot, an argument, a conversation, something that didn't seem important at the time, but could be key to finding answers in Tyarra's case and to bringing Tyarra home. If you found this episode meaningful, please share Tyarra's story. Awareness can sometimes do what time alone cannot. It can bring new witnesses forward, new memories to the surface, and sometimes the answer that a family has been waiting for.
Thank you for joining us for this episode of Vanished Voices. We are grateful you've chosen to spend your time with us as we bring attention to these stories that too often go unheard. If you'd like to learn more about the resources and sources we used in today's episode, visit our blog, linked through our website at vanishedvoicespodcast.com. Be sure to connect with us on Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube. Just search for @VanishedVoicesPod. We'd love to hear your thoughts, feedback, and reflections, and to continue building this community with you. If you found value in today's episode, please take a moment to rate, review, and share the podcast. Your support not only helps us reach more listeners, but also helps amplify the voices of those who can no longer speak for themselves. You can find Vanished Voices on Apple, Spotify, Amazon, YouTube, and all other major streaming platforms. And as always, refuse to let these voices vanish.
Thanks. Bye.
Bye.